But first, well, you know the old expression, if a Republican is in the White House, the Democrats are going to have a tantrum and shut down the government. Okay, all right, I just made that up. But it is a pattern that absolutely holds. And here we are again. But there's something going on different this time. The usual playbook where the Democrats wind up blaming the Republicans and making them look like big meanies who want to ruin everyone's good time at the national park. Well, they've played that card before, but this time it's not going so well. Instead, the U.S. government is being held hostage, and contrary to what some reports have suggested, it is in fact the Democrats who are holding the gun. In short, the federal bureaucracy is on hold because Democrats, yes, that's right, Democrats, did not want to vote for a continuing resolution to let the government keep on working. Now, this is the first time since 2019 there has been a really serious government shutdown in the U.S., and let me tell you, the blame game and the gaslighting is off the charts. At the heart of the matter is a fight over something the left claims simply is not happening. A fight over whether or not what are politely known as undocumented migrants, illegal aliens, should get free health care courtesy of the taxpayer. Now, there are examples of this gaslighting all over the place, and you have probably seen versions of it in your local media seeking to blame Team Trump for the mess. Take, for example, the Washington Post, which has tried to frame this as a question of Democrats simply wanting to extend the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare. As the Post put it, quote, Republicans falsely claimed Democrats wanted to give undocumented immigrants full health benefits. Or have a look at New York Democrat and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the man many blame for what is leading and being called in Washington the Schumer shutdown. He tweeted, quote, let me be perfectly clear. Undocumented people cannot and will not receive ACA premium tax credits by law, period. Well, Senator, not so fast, because guess what? Here at the U.S. Report, we've got some receipts. First of all, Chuck Schumer is playing a semantic game, and as many others have pointed out, Joe Biden, when he was president, granted parole and asylum to millions of illegal aliens, thus unlocking legal status and access to health care benefits, including ACA tax credits. As commentator Matt Margolis points out, a number of Democrat states as well, heavily subsidized by the federal government, also subsidize undocumented migrants, a.k.a. illegal aliens, and their health care. So let's be real clear here. What they claim is not happening is, in fact, already happening. And secondly, and here's what's really amazing, the Democrats have, for a number of years, in fact, made this idea of health care for the undocumented/illegal migrant population a key pillar of their platform. It's true. Just go back and listen to them. Remember this. This was the 2019 Democrat primary. Here's what they said at their debate.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
And oh, how they cheered. Did you hear that? Look, this idea that providing health care for people who don't belong in the country, it's not controversial to Democrats. It is something that these days they are proud of, and in fact, in their unguarded moments, despite what the headlines say, they say this is what's going on. Here's Democrat California Congressman Ro Khanna.
In terms of health care, the reality is they're just not being honest. The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion of the Medicaid cuts or the Affordable Care Act, if at all. And so we can argue that point, but the reality that even the vice president would acknowledge, that anyone who looks at the numbers will acknowledge, is 90 to 95% of the funding we're talking about is talking about funding for American citizens.
So 5 to 10% of funding is actually going to this population? I thought it wasn't happening, or at least That's what Chuck Schumer said. And check out what happened when this journalist got another California Democrat, Maxine Waters, to admit that, yes, they were giving health care to everyone, legal and illegal alike.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
You're
asking
divisive.
Ooh, not Happy Jan. Now, this is absolutely fascinating to me. Because, you know, if you watch this program, you know that we love to do a little bit of history here. And once upon a time, Democrats, even the likes of Barack Obama, loved to actually talk tough about illegal migrants to the point where even Barack Obama once sounded a little bit, dare I say, MAGA.
The Bush administration has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem, and the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away.
That was once Democrat mainstream talk. Can you believe it? And when he was president, well, Barack Obama said this.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
Yeah, so I don't think back then the Democrats were all that keen on giving illegal immigrants health care, and they certainly would not have shut down the government to make that happen. Meanwhile, remember our old friend Chuck Schumer? Well, here he is, the good senator arguing back in the 1990s for measures to crack down on fraud by undocumented migrants, illegal immigrants, whatever you wanted to call them, and decrying those who opposed fixing the problem.
This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition.
But that was then, and this is now. And Schumer, yes, the same Schumer, just voted to shut down the federal government again because Democrats refused to budge on this issue of free health care and other benefits to the quote-unquote undocumented. So what has changed along the way? Well, as I showed before, by 2019, undocumented migrants were the heroes of the Democrat story. And today, 1.5 terms of Donald Trump later, with that little unfortunate Joe Biden lunacy in the middle, the left is now completely around the twist and willing to shut down the government over yet another one of those issues like defund the police or boys and girls change rooms, any of those 80-20 issues we talk about. But here's the thing, with the midterms little more than a year away, this is a mistake that the Democrats cannot afford to keep on making.